Welcome back, everybody, to our very international episode of the Main Street Vegan podcast. But before we talk with our wonderful second guest, I just want to do a shout out to our wonderful sponsor. I always have so much to talk about. I forget that we do a lot of the work that we do thanks to Complement. Complement is a wonderful, wonderful line of supplements made by vegans for vegans. Matt Fraser, the meat-free athlete, is part of that. Dr. Joel Kahn, and all kinds of wonderful people, Pamela Ferguson, RD, PhD. So they have all kinds of things for whatever you need in your world, in your life, and your diet. The very basics, vitamin D and B12, and those omega-3 fatty acids. If that's all you want, get that. Or you can go to Complement Plus. That's what I take. And then you get all kinds of other stuff in there that I think is a good idea for being youthful and thriving all your life long. And they got a protein powder and all kinds of cool stuff. So their website is lovecomplement.com. And if you put in the discount box Main Street in all caps, you will get some money off. And so money off is always a good thing. And introducing you to somebody absolutely fabulous that I met in the past year is a really good thing too. She has the most beautiful name, both her names, Sunny Satva. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about those beautiful names. And what Sunny is doing in the world is heading up the Vegan Africa Fund, a venture capital initiative focused on scaling community-driven vegan ventures across Africa with operations powered by the eco-friendly VAF Impact Crypto. And their mission is to make veganism accessible in Africa while helping eco-entrepreneurs scale their production to provide high-value products for export to the global vegan community. Welcome, Sunny.
Thank you so much, Victoria. I'm so excited to be here, to be speaking with you and your audience. And that was an amazing intro, so thank you so much.
Well, I'm excited too, because I have never been to Africa. I would really love to go. And I have no idea what crypto is, except that people invest in it, and some people seem to make money and some people seem to lose money. So we're going to learn all these wonderful things today. But let us start at the very beginning with your vegan journey and how you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been vegan for about 6 years, and the initial catalyst for me going vegan was definitely health. I had a partner at the time who was diagnosed with some really serious illnesses, and we went vegan together to try to reverse that. But my background is in bioengineering. I have a degree where I worked in bioinstrumentation, so interfacing the body with technology. And in this career path, I had this job position with the US Army Research Office that was highly dependent on animal testing. And working in this environment where I realized just how much we have commoditized animals for so much that it's almost just no one's questioning it. It really made me feel very strongly aligned with some ethical vegan standpoints, and forced me to kind of shift my view of my place in this world. And so I actually left that job and worked on only doing work that aligned with my mission. So my vegan journey started with the health side, and then it completely has been encompassed in every aspect of my life. And I think that going vegan was one of the best things that I've ever done for my health and, of course, for the animals and the environment. And part of my work that I'm so excited about is helping make veganism more accessible. It's one of the fastest periods of adoption of a vegan diet that we've ever seen. And it's really exciting to be in this movement when there's so much growth happening.
So where did you grow up? What's a little bit of your background like? And what got you to Africa?
Yeah, so I grew up in the States. I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is very near and dear to me. Growing up in the desert, I was very much in touch with the fact that climate change is upon us, that we have very limited, natural resources, and we have to be good stewards of the environment. And so I have always wanted to go to Africa. I'm a diasporist, which means, someone who at some point in time had ancestors that were separated from the African continent. And I felt incredibly strongly in 2020 that I needed to be in Africa. I needed to connect with my roots. And this was after my sister had done a DNA test, and we're, such a multicultural ethnic family, which is one of the most amazing things I think about America, is this melting pot that it is that allows me to be here today. I have ancestors from over 24 countries, and half of those are in Africa. And I realized that I was Kenyan and didn't know it, and felt very strongly called to go there, to spend time there, and really immerse myself in the culture, but also didn't really go with the goal of starting the Vegan Africa Fund or anything. The goal was really to do what I felt called to do and to continue following that path and that mission. So I went to Africa. I got a one-way ticket in 2020 and stayed for over a year, traveling across East Africa. And the whole time building up my network of eco-entrepreneurs. I've been vegan for years, so the first people I connect with anytime I travel is usually the vegan community in some way. And I realized that there is an abundance of amazing entrepreneurship and products that we're seeing being produced by these community-driven ventures, by these African founders that historically lack access to capital to scale their operations. And they're doing absolutely amazing things, but a lot of it is done by hand, where there's limited machinery, there's very little infrastructure. And I realized that part of my work in this world that I feel very aligned with is helping resolve some of the funding gaps and some of the capital gaps. Africa has been absolutely exploited for centuries. I think we can all agree upon that. And even today, it's not getting the investment recognition that it needs, where the global community thinks they're supporting Africa, but a lot of the money going there is going to nonprofit initiatives, it's being donated, and it's not being invested in ways that help these communities create wealth, which is so desperately needed, especially when you look at the colonial history and how these communities have been just totally cut off from wealth creation opportunities for generations.
So what do you see in Kenya, where I know you spent the most time, but you've been lots of places and you're going to be going lots more. But just in Kenya, how vegan is it? How easy is it to be vegan?
It is incredibly easy to be vegan in Kenya, so much so that I would say many Kenyans eat a largely plant-based diet, where meat is seen as more of a luxury item. It's not something that is generally taken in every day. But so many of the staple foods are totally vegan. There are things that were very familiar to me, growing up in the US and associated with, African-American culture, things like collard greens and black-eyed peas and grits. Like, these are all things that in Kenya are found in a different form, where they have black-eyed peas that they cook in coconut milk. They call them cow peas, but this is a super good vegan dish. They make something called sukuma wiki, which is collard greens that's very easily, of course, like, it's always vegan. And then there's even further than that. There's an abundance of plant-based businesses and startups and people making everything from, soy milk, hemp milk, pea milk, tofu, meat substitutes, chicken substitutes, cultured coconut yogurt and beverages, things like that the whole world is trying to get at their feet and at their doorsteps. You see all of the raw materials like jackfruit to make meat substitutes. They're really found in abundance in Kenya. And so it's incredibly easy. I would recommend anyone who's listening to this who wants to go on a vegan African, safari, adventure, any kind of trip. Kenya is an amazing place to go. I can definitely give some recommendations. And as far as what I saw in the vegan movement in Kenya was a very investable landscape. So I lived in Mombasa, and I still consider it my second home, but I was there for on and off for over a year. And I started traveling about an hour away to visit Kenya's first vegan restaurant. It's called Vegan Basket, and it's located just steps away from the beach in the town called Kilifi in Kenya, an hour from Mombasa. And the owners of Vegan Basket, Jalel and Gitari, have been vegan for 8 and 14 years, respectively. They are both Kenyan. They're both passionate about spreading the health and wellness of a plant-based diet to their community. And when I met them, they're running this restaurant, first vegan restaurant in Kenya, one of the only ones on the Kenya coast. But they were really struggling to expand their operations. Like, they had more customers than they could even feed because they didn't have the capacity to process all the food products into what their final products were. And I was inspired by them. I would go there for months on end and just grew to know these founders and grew to learn about their vision, which wasn't actually just having a restaurant, but it was really being a premier producer of plant-based substitutes for their community, things like cashew-based cheese products and vegan meat substitutes and veggie burgers. And I felt so aligned with everything that they were trying to do that I made my first small investment into Vegan Basket, which turned into me investing in them over a period of 8 months. We actually helped them expand their physical location by more than 50%, expanded their kitchen operations so that they could move into this value-added food processing and actually begin to, aside from just the restaurant-facing kitchen side, provide these packaged vegan alternatives to their local community, scaling up to send them out to all the restaurants in the area and eventually scaling to go beyond that. And this is not just Vegan Basket that this can work with. There are incredible startups, incredible entrepreneurs who are creating what I believe will be some of the leading global products and brands. And one thing that I'm really interested in as the vegan movement is growing is really lifestyle brands, things that make people feel like they're part of a community and they aren't just about the product, but it's about how your life can be better and you can engage in this community through these products. So I realized, while it's great that, I started investing in Vegan Basket, I needed to do more. So I started building this directory of vegan businesses and sent out the first network survey early in 2021, maybe in June, just asking these founders what their struggles were and what their goals were. And I sent the survey to vegan entrepreneurs in 12 countries in Africa. And time again, their responses were that they lacked access to a network and they lacked access to capital to expand their operations. And so we have been building and bridging the Vegan Africa Fund Network, or the VAF network, to bring together these vegans. We sponsored Veg Fest Morocco back in November 2021, which brought together 50,000 people to speak about veganism. It was an incredible event that was streamed on Facebook Live. Anyone can watch that on the Veg Fest Morocco Facebook page. We had some awesome guests for that event. We had Moby, we had the CEO of $1 Million Vegan, we had the director of Meet the Future, Liz Marshall, that all came together along with dozens of African entrepreneurs and activists to speak about the need for a Pan-African vegan community. This is something that's very needed. But when I dug into what's going on in the continent, what is the venture capital landscape like, I found out that there was no venture capital initiative focused on scaling vegan operations on the continent. And it's absolutely necessary. The vegan alternative protein sector is one of the fastest growing markets in the world right now. It's expected to grow over 500% according to Bloomberg Intelligence in the next decade. So this is obviously a really awesome opportunity for growth and for wealth creation. And what my passion is making sure that African entrepreneurs have the ability to participate in those wealth creation cycle, especially given that so much history on the continent revolved around a plant-centric diet.
This is so exciting. And I loved how you just lit up when you said the Vegan Africa Fund. And so I just want to let everybody know, and this will of course be in the show notes at mainstreetvegan.net, but veganafricafund.com. the Vegan Africa Fund on Facebook, Vegan Africa Fund on Instagram and on Twitter. So follow these great people everywhere. Find out more about it. This is so cool. Now, here's my big question. I
Yeah.
know that you are wanting to invest and you are investing in these businesses in Africa. And
Mhm.
one of the ways you're going to do this is with cryptocurrency, which
Yes.
leaves Victoria Moran going, so if anybody else is like that, give us crypto 101.
So 101, the very basics to crypto is it's really a fancy term for a ledger that is decentralized, which means it's held across many computer servers, and it's completely public as well. So the blockchain is a public decentralized ledger where every single transaction that's ever happened is recorded. Anyone who has access to the internet can see these transactions, and the goal, I think, with cryptocurrency is to, enable financial liberation and freedom. So I, always tell this story that when I went to Kenya for the very first time, my debit cards were getting declined. My banks didn't realize I was there, even though I told them I was there. And I needed to have cash. And instead of waiting the 6 hours that I would have for the US banks to wake up, I was able to trade a small amount of cryptocurrency into my local currency within seconds. And so, really, what crypto does is it gives you financial control over your assets, but it also allows for investment exposure to different companies. And so, the way that the Vegan Africa Fund is set up is we've launched the VAF Impact Crypto, where investors who invest in VAF are holding a stake in the Vegan Africa Fund. So you can think of this like digital equity in our company. And for all the investors' funds that go into VAF, we use those invested assets to support our network of entrepreneurs across Africa. The investor holds this VAF crypto, which given time is actually projected to grow both in value and in utility. With all the ventures that we partner with in our network, we're working to increase Pan-African food trade and global food trade. Right now, Africa is in a huge food trade deficit. They actually import $40 billion more worth of food every single year than what they export. And we want to be one of the leaders in exported vegan products from Africa. And so part of our target investor segment is people who work in plant-based food distribution or own vegan grocery stores, who can invest in VAF now. Their investment holds a stake in the Vegan Africa Fund, which means they hold a stake in all of our portfolio companies. And once those companies have scaled up their operations using that capital that early investors are putting in, we're working with our portfolio ventures to come under a shared export license and send these high value African products. These are things like vegan leather products, eco-friendly packaged products, things that are like vegan meat and cheese and dairy substitutes, actually putting those all in shipping containers, sending them around the world, and investors are able to use their VAF to redeem for these products and services. And so the VAF is a digital representation of your support of the Vegan Africa Fund. And that's what a lot of crypto is. It is essentially allowing investment exposure to a global network of organizations or companies. There are many different cryptos, many different blockchains, but the one that we're working on is one of the most eco-friendly in the world, which was one of our biggest targets, was for us to use a currency and use mechanisms that are still climate positive.
So I have heard that some cryptocurrencies aren't vegan, are not eco-friendly.
Mhm.
I mean, of course, we're all going to go invest in yours, so we don't really need to know this, but just for curiosity's sake, why are some of them not? What makes them something that most of us wouldn't want to be part of?
Yeah, so there are a few mechanisms for how cryptocurrency is secured. And the oldest and original mechanism is something called proof of work, which is where these computer servers do something called crypto mining. You might have heard about mining. It's basically the act of running these algorithms and these long lines of code to verify and validate transactions across this network of computers in order to mine the next block in the blockchain or create and confirm the transactions that have just occurred. And mining is incredibly energy inefficient. So just for a little bit of scale for the listeners, because our goal is focused on impact, and we definitely want to be offsetting our carbon emissions. So if you were to look at the top two cryptocurrencies and compare them to VAF, both Bitcoin and Ethereum use crypto mining, this energy intensive mechanism. And VAF uses something, it's called a decentralized acrylic graph, which is another mechanism, very technical, of confirming these transactions on the blockchain, but it's very energy efficient and highly scalable and cheap. The transaction costs are very low. But for Bitcoin, if you were to try to offset the energy from 1 trillion Bitcoin transactions, it would require you to plant over 4 million trees. If you wanted to offset the energy from 1 trillion Ethereum transactions, it would require you to plant over 300,000 trees. A little bit more energy efficient, but that's still a lot of carbon used. And if you're to offset the energy used from 1 trillion VAF transactions, it would require you to plant 4,500 trees. So we are orders of magnitude more energy efficient than the top cryptocurrencies out there. And I believe that the next wave of innovation in the crypto space and the next wave of, capital flow is really going to be into these eco coins, into things that both have a positive impact, like VAF, which is scaling sustainable entrepreneurship, and that use less energy for the transactions. So we are, working on the cutting edge of technology, very excited to be at the intersection of blockchain and veganism, and really encourage the world to invest in the vegan future in Africa. For all your listeners to know, the investment disparity right now is massive. Just to give you a little perspective, the global startup ecosystem deployed about $620 billion worth of venture capital in 2021, $620 billion. And Africa received 4.6 billion of that 620 billion. That's less than 1%. And the African continent has 17% of the global population. I was reading an article today. The city of Miami, 500,000 people, received the same amount of venture capital invested as the entire continent of 1.2 billion people in Africa. That's 2,500 times more people receive the same amount of investment as a small US city. Like, that's even nothing compared to cities like Chicago, New York, and LA. So when we're talking about investing and meeting the Sustainable Development Goals, which is one of our targets that we're working towards along with the global community of sustainable entrepreneurs, we realize that we need innovative and creative solutions to these funding gaps. So in addition to the Vegan Africa Fund operating, as I've described before, we're also really passionate about decentralization, which is a cornerstone of cryptocurrency. Decentralization means that decisions are made throughout the network through some kind of voting consensus mechanism, and that this is something that can be sustained long time. So we're working on network integrations right now that allows all of our investors to come into this viewpoint where they can see all of the ventures we're investing in and actually start to guide and direct their capital based on that. So if you are interested and excited about investing in the vegan movement in Africa, we are on wavelength. This is one of my passions. This is something I will constantly be speaking about because I'm speaking on behalf of thousands or millions of entrepreneurs who lack access to channels like this and networks like this to be able to bring to global attention the needs of this, very underfunded, historically underfunded continent. And if you feel inclined to get involved, You can visit our website at veganafricafund.com/invest. And if you want to reach out to me to learn more about our mission and what we do, feel free to email hello@veganafricafund.com, or you can find me, Sunny Satva, on any of your social media at Sunny for Earth.
Beautiful. And tell me about the name. How did you get Sunny Satva?
Sunny Satva is my spirit name. Sunny has been a nickname for a very long time, and I actually decolonized my name through legal court procedures in 2022, which I'm very excited about. And Sunny reminds me to always be sunny, to always find the bright side. And Satva is a shortened version of this sattvic intention in Indian culture, which is to take in as many high vibrational products as you can, eat lots of colorful fruits and vegetables, and to maintain a mindset of openness and compassion and acceptance of the world around you. And these are the things I strive for in my life. The names, and I believe that the most beautiful sound to one's ears should be the sound of your own name. And I love Sunny Satva.
Oh, well, I love it too. And you know what? We can't all be named Sunny Satva, but we can all be thinking like that. We can all be sunny, and we can all strive for that elevated truth and beauty, sattvic way of living. So everybody, the website is veganafricafund.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to Unity Online Radio for hosting us these almost 10 years. And to everybody listening, God bless you. Eat your veggies.